Welcome to Faith, Motivation, and Leadership. I am your co-host, Carnela Renée Hill, and we're excited about this show. Oh, we have some good stuff. My co-host is with me, Miss Mechelle McKenney. What you got to say? This is a good one for us.
I'm so excited about doing this today, and the fact that we're doing it live and we haven't seen each other in forever. So this show is like the start of our year, basically. So
Yes. We stepped away for a little while and kept our show going, but we're back and we don't like to play around when we come on the show.
Nope.
So that's why we had to bring a phenomenal person. And I'm not even going to do the introductions for him. We admire him. We love him. He's doing great things. He's always done great things. And he is just really about making a difference.
Right.
So as we talk about faith, motivation, and leadership, we had to take some time to interview Mr. Farad Ali.
Yeah, you know what? He doesn't even need an introduction. Everybody knows him. If you don't know him, you want to check him out. Google this man.
No.
He's done some amazing things. I'm putting him on the spot. He's going to give his story. But let me tell you, Farad, I believe in giving flowers while you're living, and you deserve all the praise we're giving you. We're not just out here pumping you up and trying to make you feel good. We're telling the truth. We're telling the truth. We've been watching you grow, seeing you grow, and God is really using you to do some amazing things. So I just want to tell you thank you, and I'm giving it to you to let you introduce yourself.
Well, first of all, thank you both. And I wanted to let you know, did y'all take credit or cash? How do y'all do this? I want to make sure we clear how this happens. I know y'all told me it was an invoice. I'll just wait for the invoice to come.
Okay.
Right.
We'll send it right afterwards then. I'm just joking.
And I thank y'all. But, it's also when you get interviewed by two women who have three names, Carnela Renée Hill and Mechelle McKenney. So I'm blessed to be sitting with all you all. Mom and daddy just gave me one name, maybe two, but y'all get to carry three. And that's awesome. A lot to live up to, even all of us in the work that we do.
Right.
And we're all blessed and honored to be in the places and spaces that we're in, and everything happens for a reason. And the process to go through life is also, it's daring, it's exciting. Sometimes it's crushing,
Right.
but all at the same time, it's, you got to just keep your head up to have some fortitude and grind. So I've been blessed in my career to be able to have villages actually, go from place to place. The village that I had with my family in New York that watched over me and took care of me when my parents were working, and how all you go from house to house. Your
Right.
grandmama keeping you, your auntie keeping you, Ray keeping you, Peanut keeping you, Peaches keeping you. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
You got the whole group.
Right. And then, you get a chance to come to North Carolina and then, get active in our community and, the religious community and the community where we lived. Everyone took advantage and take it, helping to raise you, your neighbors, your friends, your parents' friends. So you get a chance to be a part of that kind of village. And then when you go to the college, you just got a new kind of creation of a village, right? You have your friends, parents who become a part of your village.
Yes.
You have professors who become a part of your village, and in that new village that you have there, then they send you out to the workplace, and then that workplace has a new village, right? You have colleagues that you come in with that become a part of it. You have the people that mentor you through the processes, your bosses, your managers, your informal leaders. Meanwhile, you still have the blessing of those previous villages that you never should forget about, because they did probably the most investing. So you go back and still get the wisdom from mom and dad and all the lineage of a college. And that's been really important to me. So my life is really, I'm just a recipe of others. And I'm blessed to be a part of that. Everyone's put an ingredient in me that's kind of shaped and formed who I am. And that's really been helpful. And I've had some really powerful mentors that have been local, that have been virtual, that have been, I can call. And then I spent, 19 of my business, or almost 20 years, working for the Institute of Minority Economic Development. So I actually spent 20 of my probably 40 years of working with that organization. And so I got a chance to see the grassroots and the grass tops from the standpoint of helping minority owned businesses and women owned firms and working with corporations and understanding the political landscape and understanding the business landscape, understanding community landscape, understand really the humanality of what's important, and making sure that economics is really about justice.
Right.
A lot of times people don't understand that because they look at it from an income standpoint, but it's really a justice standpoint. And I've been known when I ran for office as the mayor, unfortunately I didn't win. God had another plan, but I remember I was trying to remind the community that as we fight for social justice, that and everyone can pick up the social justice mantle, right? White, black, yellow, green. Yeah, we're going to give it to them. Yes, social justice, housing, but no one wants to talk about economic justice. And I keep telling you, social justice without economic justice is no justice. And so we need to figure out a way to compile the ask for everything, right? And it's so interesting because when we get into these intimate relationships with even our jobs or our relationships, we talk around making sure that we're equally yoked, right? We want to be equally yoked with making sure when I come to work that you pay me. We want to be equally yoked in a relationship, that we have a partnership, and then you live up to your side of the partnership, and that we're faithful in how we help one another and build one another up. Yeah. We want to be equally yoked when we in our spiritual growth, right? With our pastor or our community, and that we can help one another and build one another. I think that we're not equally yoked when people focus on just on the social aspect of our life, but not the economic part of our life, because economics provide us the opportunity to really build our families, give them some kind of stability. It's kind of like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. When you get the stability of housing and food and all, it's easy to start dreaming. It's easier to be risky. It's easier to do these other things because you know that you have a foundational support system or a village system that will be there for you, so that you can go up and feel comfortable that even if you fall, that your village has not left you out. So I am just a product of villages who've invested in me.
So I have a question about that. I love when you use the word villages, right? I know I get caught up and I call it networks. Village is the network. It's the network that's going to build you. I want you to go back and think about, you talked about coming from New York to North Carolina. And so the network changes, the village changes. How do you, as a Black male coming from New York to North Carolina, recreate the new village? Because I work with a lot of college students and students that are in transition coming out of college into business. The thing that they have an issue is creating those networks. If I don't play sports or I'm not involved in the sorority and fraternity, how do I get out there, create those networks? The other thing you talked about was going into the community. Again, how did you do that? How did you move from one state to another and still build that establishment back up for your support?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's a dynamic question, so let me try to.
I know it's a lot, but
let me bifurcate it in a way that I can answer it, right? So,
all right.
So the first question is moving from the north to the south. It was different, right? I tell people growing up in New York, the first part of my childhood was diversity was clear. We didn't have to talk about diversity because it was diversity, right? The school, you had people who were, Latino and African American, Jamaican, Asian, Haitian. I mean, you just had all this true mixture, and we had a chance to experiment in every culture,
right.
From the Jewish culture to the Muslim culture to the Christian culture to the Hinduism culture, the Buddhist to atheist. I mean, you just get a chance to do that in spirituality. You get a chance to do that with their foods and the way they eat. You get a chance to see how they live, and so you get a chance to see all this. And because it's a part of the marketplace or the lifestyle, it was normal, if I may say.
Mm-hmm.
coming to the South, it was really more black and white. So there was it was this time when I had to go through my own transformation of recognizing that in a black and white culture, it took a little bit more time to assimilate. And sometimes in structures like when it's black and white, you also have the social economic standpoint issue too, right?
Right.
Because it's just black and white. Then you got black and white with money, black and white without money, black and white with education. You got all of these other new stratospheres that actually I didn't have to deal with, right? Until I came south, because I started recognizing that there are economic different stratospheres for people, and sometimes they're treated different, and sometimes those different that puts you in different areas of different social. It may be your community where you're at in Durham, and where do you live, and who your people are, and and if you are this and that. So managing to be to live within my own self and to find commonalities, and I try to help people understand. Wow. Race is man-made. I just try to tell, not being black, not being white, not being Asian, but the actual fight of race is man-made. If we all look at each other as a part of the human race, it changes the whole conversation. Right. If we imagine ourselves as all patients in a hospital who can give each other parts that can help us to live longer, it's no longer about race. It's about living. So I kind of brought that kind of mentality to the different things that I did. I was fortunate enough to play sports. So that's another normalizer for race, if you're good or not good, and how you support your teammates. So that allowed for me to assimilate or to navigate that opportunity to engage with different people who are not like me, and be successful. So I always try to tell people, just be who you are and allow people to accept you or not. I have this kind of SW3 attitude, right? Some will, some won't. So what? I don't know what to tell you, right? You either with me, you're not with me, or just don't bother me. And,
exactly.
It's all good. And I ain't going to hate you, right? What Tupac says, I want you to eat, but you just can't eat at my table, right? Right? But I still want you to eat.
No, it's true. It's true.
That's still what you. So I think the attitude of loving people closely when you can, and loving people from afar, and still making sure that you demonstrate the love in how you live. And I think that's where the blessings become evident. So my villages become how much I invest in them. It's not what they give me. So these villages that no one came and said, I want you to be a part of my village. It was more like I had to earn my way, love my way, show my way, be who I was. And then people accepted me into the village. And I was really honored every time someone took the time to invest in me, because that gave me a chance to use it as a platform for whatever was next.
Right. Yeah. I think that's really good when you say that, because I know when we talk about networking in villages, I always want to make sure that everybody understands it's not a hookup. It's not a hookup. It's about finding value and contributing, and then everything else will come.
Yep.
And I think we're in a situation now with our younger adults where everybody's looking, what can you give me? What can you give me? You have to switch it. And I like when you said, I got to give it out. I have to give love. I have to show the value. I have to say, hey, this is me, good, bad, ugly, but this is what I'm bringing to the table. This is what I do. And even looking at what you're doing now and where you're going, I'm sure they looked and said, wow. And I know you get shocked when you look back over your life and see all the things that you have accomplished and all the people that pulled you through the village. You're just, woof.
Yeah, I'm thankful. I mean, I try to celebrate and thank people all the time, right? And it's sincerely. You can't always thank people with the exhaustive nature.
Right.
You can only sometimes do a click a like or say thanks. But for me, that's, it's important, because when people take time to invest in you, or take time to congratulate you, or take time to support you, they're taking their assets and sharing them with you. So, for someone to look at you and say, hey, what's going on? I say, hey, good morning, right? Because you're excited that they took time to recognize you. And I think it's important that we should take that same energy and that same intent to do the same back to others. That's that kind of do unto others as you'd like them to do unto you, and live it out.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I want to. Oh, sorry, Carnela.
I want to change gears a little bit. And we know that Miss Andrea Harris was instrumental in your life. We know that she was part of your village. She was like a mama to you. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
And she helped shape you and move you, as well as many of us, or all of us that's on the call. You have been instrumental in the entrepreneur side and working with businesses. Can you share some of the drive, the motivation, what you yourself caused you to go into that direction, and why you do some of the things that you do? You know, this is us sitting on the coffee table,
Right.
Sitting on the sofa, and we know you well. We want others to know you and to share that entrepreneur side and business side, because it's going to inspire somebody else. And that was one reason why we were so big on, let's get Farad on. Farad has a story, and he's not going to jump up and tell it, so we're going to bring him on.
He's so humble. He's so humble. And
yes, and we're grateful.
So there you go with those complicated questions again. You know I got to write this stuff down, right?
You can handle it. Take it piece by piece.
You ladies with these 3 names, I got to make sure I write down stuff so I don't miss nothing.
No, Farad, we remember when you crossed over and took that mantle and moved into that direction. I was like, wow, who knew? Who knew? So tell us. We want to know.
Yeah. So, you know, if you know Miss Harris, you know Miss Harris, right?
Yes.
I got to tell you, you know, I'm trying not to cry, right? Miss Harris, people saw many shades. I guess I saw the many shades of Miss Harris, and it impacted me. I never got a chance to meet one of my favorite heroes, who was Nelson Mandela. But I studied Nelson, and you know, it's powerful how he was a warrior, and then he had to serve time in jail, prison, and then to come out and lead the country and pass, right? And Miss Harris to me was my Nelson Mandela. My real life Nelson Mandela. One of the things that she did, it's so powerful for me, that the lesson one of the biggest lessons she taught me is I saw her do what Nelson Mandela did post apartheid. She tempers her justice with mercy.
Yes.
She sees things that are maybe wrong, and she would still be merciful. And it would be baffling for me. I would be sitting in boardrooms with her, and she would give them the business in her most classy, articulate, 5'2", 150-pound way, and then she would cut them up. And at the end of the conversation, they would hug her and kiss her and say thank you. You know, I just never understood, right? Like, how did that happen? And her courage, which was so powerful for me, was to watch her to also be generous, right? Generous with her time, her money, her talent, her resources.
Right.
Stories I can't even tell you how generous she's been. But her generosity showed me a lot, and she cared deeply for people, especially Black women, right? And so it's interesting because my mom's an entrepreneur, my wife's an entrepreneur. Miss Harris was an entrepreneur. I mean, you know, just like I've had all these strong women around me, and my daughter is a physician. So you start seeing, like, I've had all these strong women around me, and I see the impact that they create for our country and why they need to be uplifted and respected. And so the one thing I learned from Ms. Harris is she tempers justice with mercy. And that's something that's hard for people to do. You know, there's so many times when you want to say, you know what, and you want to you want to be revengeful, or you want to go after people. She found a way to compartmentalize justice and to give people chances and opportunities. And I've seen her pull people off the streets and to give them opportunities. I know one story of a guy who got in trouble with the law. He was on the street trying to figure his life out. He was a felon. She brought him in. She hired him as an apprentice in one of our programs. She told him she understood his story. She and this guy, had a college scholarship, lost it, had to come home, had to take care of his mama, went to work. He worked for us. And then not too long ago, he came and he asked me to be a speaker for him to get a license that they have to get over the issue that you were a felon and all this other stuff. And I supported him, and I felt like I was carrying on her mission. And now he runs $1 million business in the Triangle area, and his past transgressions, what could have crippled him for a lifetime, is now allowed him to be a producing citizen in the city, and also to be encouraging others who may have been in gangs or had a felony or whatever it may be. So I think that kind of spirit of Ms. Harris continues to remind me of how do we carry that mantle on in that space. So I've been blessed.
She extended grace in a way that was, I'm sure God is just glad to have her home for all the work that she's done on the earth. And she's taught us how to extend grace when we know injustice has been happening and served. Can you talk about your entrepreneur spirit, your new opportunity, your new office? You went to New York, left out of nowhere almost, came back, and you came back with a wow.
With a vengeance.
Talk about the wow.
Yes.
Because it's a big.
Yeah.
And we're proud of you.
Okay, so I hear you, Carnela. You pushing. This is still the second part of your question.
I'm pushing. You taught me well. I can say that. You taught me well.
No. I'm clear. So I will tell you that I've been around entrepreneurs my whole life. As I told you, my mom she owned a couple of beauty parlors, 2 or 3 beauty parlors. She owned the real estate and the business. So I learned a lot about how, when you own a business, if you own the real estate and the operating company, what does that mean? Now, I saw that on a level that would maybe perceived as nascent, but I've also seen it on a mature business level, how people who run big businesses they own the big buildings and they operate in part of it and rent the other pieces. And so I got a chance to see her do that on a micro level, right? Then I got a chance to be a banker, which allowed, you spend 10 years in banking, the exposure there is phenomenal.
Right.
So that gave me a huge opportunity to understand money, how to use money, how to get money to benefit you and whatever your goals are. And then to work at the Institute for 20 years as a sense of working with entrepreneurs, right?
Mm-hmm.
From entrepreneurs in Princeville who had just had a flood, 100-year flood. They were trying to rebuild their housing, their business, to getting SBA loans, to having the Congressional Black Caucus come down with other congressional members, to talk about how do we rebuild this city, which was the oldest city in America that was Black, that was taken over by Blacks, and they owned it and ran it. So, Ms. Harris was a part of that, right? The rebuilding of that city. So she made us, her soldiers, to be a part of that too. So we got a chance to see government be rebuilt, housing be rebuilt, business be rebuilt, and be an active agent in that. 2, working with corporations and helping them with their supply diversity programs to make sure that they said they were going to do a 5%, 10%, 20%, 30% goal to help them to connect with the minority and women entrepreneurs, to make sure that we can also talk with banks on how to make sure they can get the access to the capital to be able to meet the requirements that were made up, that were developed by the corporations for them to participate, and then to give them the technical assistance to make sure once they got in there, they were successful. So when you do that for a period of time, and you've got this kind of understanding of entrepreneurship, it gives you a good look of how to make this work. So when I did that with them, and then after the my time at the Institute had expired, I got a chance to go work for the National Minority Supply Development Council in New York. And it's the oldest and largest corporate organization that focuses on minority-owned businesses around the country, ethnic minority-owned. Wow. So they have 26 offices inside the U.S. and 5 partners around the country. And so I got a chance to lead that effort. And so I'm going around the country, seeing all of these businesses and corporations and their commitment to growth and development of minority-owned businesses. It's more exposure, and that exposure provided me an opportunity to see additional opportunities. And so from that, I got a chance to partner with an organization called Associar, which was led by a Hispanic lady, a Latina. And we became friends and started talking about opportunities. And we actually partnered on a project focusing on inner city kids, kids that were where their communities were underinvested or non-invested actually. And so we did it in Baltimore with a partner with Bristol Myers Squibb and General Motors. And we actually did tutoring and taught these kids around entrepreneurship and how to be entrepreneurs. And then we did it also in Durham at Club Boulevard School. We did it in Detroit. And we started recognizing the impact of these young, kids of color being able to see how entrepreneurship could be a way out. And so it's energizing, right, to see that if we can inspire the next generations to be entrepreneurial in a way that they can find their own success and their own self-worth and their own impact. Right. Also teaching them how to do philanthropy, also teaching them how to be leaders in their communities, then we can change a nation. So we decided, we partnered on that kind of idea and why that made sense. And then I had an opportunity to become a partner in the business. And so I was blessed enough to be able to figure out a way to pull that off. And we did that. And so now we're actually trying to grow the business and to grow our impact around the country and making sure that we can grow the business, do good, and also do well.
I love that. I love that. I just want to know, what would you say to your 10-year-old self right now? When you look at all these things and all the impact you've made, what would you say to your 10-year-old self?
Never change, right? Keep that spirit, keep that heart. I mean, people that know me, right? They know I'm really, I like to have fun, right? And I think it's important that we live life with a sense of joy. To find your sense of joy, live in your joy. Find your sense of peace and live in your peace. Find your sense of love and live in your love. Yes. Now, that does not mean that you won't be hurt, shattered, crushed, bothered, disappointed, talked about, cussed about. I mean, all that stuff becomes a part of this sea of life. But to still be able to hold on to your joy, your passion, your love in a way that allows you to be authentic, right? It's the worst part is to see someone not happy but successful. Yeah. In relationships but not in love. Right. Working but not joyful. I mean, it's just the ugliest thing in the world to see, right? Because you get a chance, you watch that, you go, that's not what you would want for yourself, right? And so you try to encourage, enrich, and makes help to be a play in people's lives so they can get to that joy, love, and happiness. And that's what I love doing. So, Carnela, when you were asking the question, it's like, I get my jiggers, it's like when we win as a team, as a community, I don't need to win. I said, I want to be a part of a winning team. Right. So to win by myself, is one thing, but to win with a team, it's a party. Right. So the whole idea, let's make life a party where we can all be happy, joyful, in a way of whatever God has in store for us. I do believe everything happens for a reason, and we have to make the decision on how we go through our processes, right? I tell people it's so easy to hold God's hand when you see sunshine and roses, right? I mean, you just, it's so, not only is it easy, you almost want to let go because you're like, this is too much fun. Let go, I can go ahead and do this, right?
Right.
But then when the storm comes, or when it's a hurricane or it's dark, we hold on tighter to God's hand, and he keeps saying, yo, man, I never let go. That was you, right? Just stay with me. We're going to get through this storm too, right? So the seasons of life are as real as the seasons of the weather that we experience. Our ability to cope is dependent upon our way that we have the outlook. So when we see cold weather, we can choose to be gloom and doom, or we can choose to say, let me just bundle up and enjoy this.
Right.
Enjoy this snow, this ice. And we see rain, we can look at it as, oh, it's rain, or we can say it's just liquid sunshine, because all of it is just a part of the manifestation of life. So you can have these experiences, so that not necessarily for you, but maybe for someone else to be inspired and go forward.
What's on your playlist? What's on your playlist? What are you reading right now? Share some good stuff that will help somebody.
Yeah. So see, I didn't know you were going to ask that question, but this is on my playlist right now, right? The Infinity Game.
Okay, right. All right.
It's a powerful book, and I'm reading it and going over and over every chapter 2 and 3 times, because it reminds us, and people, when you read the book, you'll get a chance to understand it, but I'm gonna try to articulate it. Some people are playing the finite game, which is, to me, checkers.
Right.
Two-dimensional checkers. Black pieces, red pieces, board, sitting across from each other. But what I've learned in my, in the number of years I've been living, and particularly in this latter part, is that life is really around 5-dimensional, 12-dimensional chess. And this book kind of speaks to that. Like, if you're going to be a part of the game, understand that the game is infinite.
Right.
It's not about who wins. It's about how we win, right? And it's never over, right? We put our work in our lives with finite endings, meaning that we spend time talking about, I beat Carnela to the job, or, Carnela's this, and I won and she won. But when you recognize life's about how we can win, and the game is never really over,
right?
Because I may win this time. I mean, Carnela and I met, 20 years ago, right?
Right.
And in real estate, do you remember that?
I do. I ain't talking about it. We ain't gonna talk about all the, how we all got hustles. But I met Carnela in one lifespan under one things, which, if you look at that as just that game and who won or lose, then you won't be able to appreciate where we are today, in that it was never finite, right? It was infinite. And so we need to look at relationships, our work, and the things we do in a more infinite space, not just a finite space.
Right. I think it's really good, because sometimes we do look at one-dimensional, what's happening in my life right now, this is it until I die. And that's not the case. And you're a prime example of that, how it just goes. Somebody used to, this hymn, life is like a mountain railroad, right? And do your duty ever turn. So you have all these things that you have to go through. So I like that. And I just think you're inspiration to so many people to keep going, especially with us being entrepreneurs and trying to push through it and help in the direction that you have given. So I like that a lot.
Thank you. Yeah, enjoy it. Thank you.
Farad, I remember that day that I came and sat in your office, and you and Carlos, and I think y'all picked me apart, and you threw me out, and then you picked me apart again, and then you made me come back, and you picked me apart again, and you threw me out. But I appreciate I appreciate you, and I appreciate that conversation. It was hard. It was at a tough time in my business, and I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know what I'm gonna do. And you had me to think about my village.
Right.
And I think about those days because I was like, I made it from there. God brought me through. He continues to bring me through. Yes, I want to control it, but he's like, no, you can't control it. You just got to go through the process. So thank you for teaching me how to go through the process.
Right.
Yeah, we loved
When the
you.
process is hard, you got
Yeah.
to stay in the game and
Yeah,
you
well,
can't give up.
but we still loved you, right? And you know,
You
and
did.
right. And
Both
I
of
also
you.
and I try to tell people too, you know, I was fortunate enough to play athletics and was good at one point on some teams and was bad on other teams. And one of the things I realized is when the coach is yelling at you, you must be a player.
Right.
So,
Right.
you know, we were sharing our love with you and going after you because we knew you were a player. The coaches don't always yell at the people who are at the end of the bench. I'm just
Good
saying
point.
I'm not saying they're not important to the team,
Right.
but during the game, you know, you're pushing because everybody wants to win. And the coaches on the end of the bench don't mind the coaches yelling at the first who's on the floor because they also want to win. So it's not a bad comment. This is a way of understanding how the team works to win.
Right. So you never answered the question for us. What's on your playlist? We want to know
Yes.
all of you, the full rounded you. We know the business. We know the entrepreneur. What's on your playlist? Are you
Sure.
up there?
What you're listening to, what music you're playing right now. Just go and tell us what it is.
You know, I'm a music, how do I say this? So I go across the whole board, right? So
Okay.
there's times when I'm listening to Miles Davis and Coltrane and So What and Sketches of Spain and I'm just grooving in that space.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that really, you know, it's connecting. And there's other times I'm listening to, you know, these are the few of my favorite things, you know, the sound of music,
The
right?
sound of music.
You know, and then there's other times when, you know, a simple song or a ballad by Will Downing, you know, does me right. You know, it's a nice time. Will Downing, Kim, they kind of nice ballad, you know, Angela Winbush just kind of puts you in the right kind of space to reflect and to go where you need to be. And then other times, you know, I'm finding myself in, you know, I'm listening to, you know, Kirk Franklin and Fred Hammonds and Donnie McKirkland.
Okay.
Because they give me that kind of, you know, and all the gospel, but those three in particular, because their variation in song sometimes connects to what I'm going through.
Right.
I get all over the board. It's you don't know what station to get in the car.
Who's the hype person? Who's your hype man? Who, if you had to pick one, and you need somebody to get you pumped up before you go in there, who is the hype man or woman?
You know, it's a lot.
Like,
It's a lot. I mean, you know, I could go hard. I mean, you know, Public Enemy would get me hyped. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
They coming
You know
out
what I'm
with it.
saying?
Okay, stop
You know,
hiding.
that was it.
you know, Elvis was a hero the most, but you never, you know, you know, you can get there. I get down there too, right? So just, it all depends on what I need to be hyped for, right? Because I got to be, sometimes I need to be righteously hyped.
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
And sometimes I need to be right, you know, H to the is O, V to the is A, you know, sometimes I need to be hyped like that, you know. It all depends on, I may need to get down with some Mary J. Blige and be like, it's just fine, you know, and just go hard, right? So it all depends on where what's needed for me to be the best for others.
Right.
I really want to be a vehicle. I tell people I'm not afraid to say that I try to be the best for others. Some may see that as being a chameleon and not sincere, but some people can't always connect to people. So I try to make myself adjustable for men, so men can and women, so they can understand where I come from, so I can communicate the message. And it's important that sometimes the story needs to be explained in the Queen's English. Sometimes the story needs to be explained in a community English. And sometimes it needs to be explained in the spiritual English. And all those things are very different for the audience to receive it. And so I try to make sure that I'm equipped to be able to translate that message so that they can be motivated. And so at the end of the day, I want God to say to me, you know, well done.
Well done.
And I don't want to have any excuses. I mean, no excuses for being my best. I want my wife to know I love her. I want my kids to know I love them. I want my parents to know that not only do I love them, I want to care for them. And I want I want our community to be better, right? We shouldn't be talking about, well, 20 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, we had Black Wall Street, or we had these things. We need to be talking about what we have, and it should be a stepping stone. So when I see the erosion in communities of color, and then I hear people provide us with short-term solutions, I have a hard time with that. I said, we need to have transformative solutions, and we're trying to transform communities and people. They're not about one or two things. It needs to be a holistic approach. And so I always tell people to beware of community leaders or people, political leaders, or even family leaders that just want to focus on one part of your life, because we are so far more dynamic. We need our health taken care of, our community taken care of, our economics taken care of, our education taken care of. And I'm not saying we don't take care of it, but I think we need to understand that we're a dynamic, complex people. And when people or leaders try to focus on just one aspect, I'm like, that's a disservice.
Right. We agree. Definitely. So,
Carnela.
I know I'm gonna try to watch my ending. Okay, I'm gonna watch it. Come on.
I know.
But I gotta ask this question, Mechelle. I gotta ask Farad this question.
All right.
So, what would you tell the young entrepreneurs and those that are just starting in corporate?
Right.
Give them those few words so that it comes back to them when they're ready to give up.
Yeah, you have to have vision to get to your provision.
Say it again.
Bam.
Say it again.
Repeat it so I can hear it again.
Yeah. You have to have vision to really have your provision. And we know when you have vision that there's a stated requirement for you to achieve it, right? I can't tell you what that means, and every entrepreneur has to go through their different type of processes, but you can never lose sight of your vision to get to your provision. And your provision is not always money. You may be a tool. You may be a resource. You may be a partner. I don't know, but that's what your life holds. But you've got to have vision. People who tell me they're on their grind and they're not doing anything, they don't have vision. Because being on your grind was different for Harriet Tubman than it is for some of the new kids on the block. So I tell people, if you're going to be on your grind, recognizing that means you're going to make some sacrifices. You're going to make some decisions that may be short-term hard, long-term nice. And so always just recognizing that vision requires work, and to have that vision to get to your provision it requires strength, discipline, and love, passion, and commitment that you're gonna have to put it in to get it in.
Put it in to get it in.
Right.
Vision for provision. Wow. We know you have to leave. We can sit here and talk to you all day, but what do you want to tell all of our listeners in closing? What do you want them to know? Well, what words of nuggets you want to drop on them? However you want to do it, Farad.
That you're unique. You're unique. I mean, you were designed unique to provide strength and courage for others, and to find your uniqueness, grow in it, develop it so that you can be highly effective and that your yield can be maximized. We are all meant to do different things. I think that was written, that some people are meant to do this and others, but just recognizing that we're all meant to do separate things. So find your thing and do your thing, and that you'll be an asset to everybody.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, Farad, we just want to say thank you. We love you. We're excited about what you're doing and your next, and we wish you Godspeed. Thank you for taking the time to join us here on Faith, Motivation, and Leadership. And I'm sure we'll see you around, and we'll call on you, and we know you'll call on us. So that's a wonderful thing.
Thank you.
Take
Peace
care.
and blessings.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. All
Bye.
right.
Mechelle and I are going to stay on for a few minutes. We are excited. This is just the beginning of some of the many things that we will do going forward. We haven't been live in a long time. I think Attorney Crump was our last live one.
Mm-hmm.
And so to our audience, we want to let you know that we're back. We're back in full force, and you're going to start to see more live shows from us. We will have a mixture, and we will bring in people that will help you and will guide you and teach you some of the things, the lessons they've learned, so that you could move to your next level. So we're all about using our faith, taking our faith to help us grow our business. So we're about faith, motivation, and leadership. And here we are. We're back to you, Mechelle.
Yes, and I just want to say that even though we've been on this little hiatus, we didn't really go anywhere. We've still been recording, still been doing things.
Yeah.
We wanted to come on live and be with all of you guys because of the times that we're in. We're facing this epidemic called COVID. We are also in some times right now, especially dealing with diversity, inclusion, Black Lives Matter, all types of things. So we want to be able to have those discussions. We're open to it. As you see, we want to sit on the couch and just talk about it and just have a discussion, because we're all about empowering, educating, but of course through faith, motivation, and leadership. Because if you don't have those things, you can't accomplish everything else. So we're excited. I haven't seen my friend Carnela in forever. Mwah. Miss
Love
you,
my dear.
Miss you.
Yeah.
Notice that we're both representing in the green for the pink and green and the red and white. So yeah, we're still holding on.
We're still holding on. And we want to encourage you to wear your mask, okay? Wear your mask. It is very important. I've lost several family members, and I know Mechelle is have family members that are sick, and it is important that you wear your mask. The other part to that is there's a lot of groups that need support right now. And so the teachers are going back to school. We're going to try to have some conversations around that. The governor's having to make a very hard decision. School boards having to make a hard decision. A lot of groups are making a hard decision. Churches are trying to decide, do I open or not open? What am I going to do? And so we're going to bring some of those conversations to you. We are grateful to have Jimmy in the background. He didn't say anything, but he's in the background working things for us. So that's why you see his picture. But we want to be open and honest with you, because that's who we are. We're open and honest. We are vulnerable about a lot of things that are happening in our lives. So when we sit on the couch, we just let it go. And we don't do a whole lot of editing, because we just want to be truthful and just let our hair down. And so we are just grateful for you tuning in.
Yeah, we don't even have scripts. We just roll with it, whatever God gives us, and we roll with it. The other thing, Carnela, you had mentioned about wearing a mask. I am also saying, can you stay home? You don't have to have all these group things and everything. As you stated, my family's dealing with my father having a embolism. He has a pulmonary embolism. So therefore, I'm definitely trying to stay away from people, because I want to go see my father. I want to visit him. But it makes me nervous when I see on social media, on news, all these groups of people together. You guys, this is a time you're going to have to really do some deep soul searching and learn how to be creative in your space. And the other thing you mentioned about going back to school, it is very much on my mind, because I'm watching the school systems and seeing the rural places of North Carolina. And what do you think about that? The rural places, the rural cities in North Carolina alone, where our students If they go straight, I mean, I'm all about going remote. I really want them to stay remote. The catch with that is I see that a lot of them are, the parents can't help educate them and take them through the training that's happening remotely. What are your thoughts on that? I know that wasn't our topic for today, but that's on my mind. It's heavily on my mind because I'm from Shelby, North Carolina. I'm watching it happen now where they want all the kids to go back for that particular reason. They're looking at the disparities. They're looking at the difference, but I am worried that our students are going to get left behind. And we need to come up with some way that if everything does go virtual again, how can we keep them on track and up to speed?
Well, I mean, you think about it, even the rural communities, not just rural, but local too, some people don't know how to homeschool, so to speak.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Best way to call it. Some people don't know how to. And then in some of the rural communities, they don't have internet. You know, it's not in their areas. Some areas is not strong. And then the second part is some families can't afford it.
Right.
And so I'm just believing that the right decision will be made, and that we have to continue to pray about it, you know, for the right guidance and for the right direction. So it's crucial. We're in praying times, and our show, we can talk about it. We are in praying times for justice for everything. Go ahead, Mechelle.
Exactly. While we're praying, I'm still challenging all the churches out there.
Yes.
Because I'm watching Wake County, because I'm in Wake County, and they give out hotspots. I am from Shelby, North Carolina, Cleveland County. I'm challenging every church down there to donate hotspots because of the internet situation. And not just Cleveland County. What's your county, Carnela?
Wilson County.
Wilson County. We're challenging you. So this is the time when the church is outside the walls anyway. So let's really get outside the walls in the community, donate hotspots to these schools, donate hotspots to these students. You don't know how to work it, there's somebody in your church that can help you set up hotspots, and you work with those students and get them connected, because it's going to be very important. It's going to be important that we don't get left behind. We're saying, oh, we're only just a couple of months in. Do you realize how many students did not connect, Carnela, from March until now? And now we're starting a new year. You're already behind.
Right.
You're already behind. So how do we keep them engaged? You got to take the time. And I know I'm going to get slammed on social media for this, but I said it and I meant it. This is the time we really got to get serious about parenting. We got to get serious about parenting and helping our kids. My heart cries out when I see the statistics. I see what's going on in the neighborhoods where our kids aren't getting the help and the support they need.
Yes, and Mechelle, it's a real hard subject for both of us. I know that. The kids and us mentoring and knowing that lack has gone even greater with them being out.
Right.
It really does hurt. And yes, I say pray, but also God give us wisdom.
Right.
And God expects us to move our feet. And so they are home. And if you, the parent, cannot do it, there are a lot of programs right now, mentoring programs, homeschooling. I know I have several family members that are reaching out, trying to help kids. Right. One of my nephews, he was struggling in one of his math classes, and my cousin is a teacher, teaches the same grade level. She saw it on Facebook. His mom had posted something. She called and said, what can I do to help him? So, put it on Facebook. If you own social media, then you need to put up there, I need some help with my kids. Don't just be up there and you doing your personal thing. I need you to put on social media, I need some help with my kids, because it's too many of us that can help. I mean, I had a little niece that came here, a couple of hours, her mom had to go do something. Baby, let's get your homework done. And so there's a whole lot that needs to be done. And there are people that's willing to do, but you got to ask the question. God said you receive not if you ask not. And so you got to ask the question. And it takes a village, as Farad said, and the village is here.
Yep. And I think that's the thing, Carnela. I know it's funny coming from two people that don't have kids, but let me tell you, we didn't birth any kids, but we've helped and worked with a lot of kids and youth and teenagers and college students all the way up. So we are offering that. We're here to support you. We're here to help you. Farad spoke earlier. It was the village. It's the village. So this is a time that everybody has to start utilizing their villages. You have to start utilizing the resources that have been provided to you. Carnela hit it on the head, and we can even end with that. You have not because you ask not. You have not because you ask not.
Exactly. So, and we will come back and talk. Mechelle talked about we got to step outside the church walls. Now we're not in church. Okay, what can we do? And I have been slaving, well, slaving is the wrong word. I have been working hard on a paper for a school, for a divinity school, on going outside the church walls and what are we doing outside the church walls. And so that's a whole nother conversation, but we're going to bring you a whole lot. So get ready, get prepared. We thank you for joining us, and we wish you Godspeed and blessings over your life. And we thank you for each and every time. So stay tuned. We got new things happening.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.